Yeah. So thank you for that cooperation. Right. Um, so when we started our journey of uh, working with children, one of the questions that we faced with is why education? Uh, and that's at least that's where we started off with. Uh, why do we need education, or what is the purpose of education? When we looked around, uh, some of the answers that people gave was that it is to learn, but primarily it seemed like, especially the whole conventional education seems to be focusing on earning, on job, and that had become the explicit purpose of education, which wasn't very exciting for us, at least. So we thought that it should be more about learning to live, rather than learning per se, or money or earning per se. And when we say that it's learning to live, we realize that we all want that. We forget even open learning. We all want an open life. When I say open life, yes, we live in families, societies, but still we want to live the way we want to live, and throughout our life. Uh, we don't, while we are open to listening to things from spouse, family members, um, relatives, neighbors, uh, let's say bosses, and people at our workplaces, but still we want to take the decision. We want to be in charge of our lives. So that's kind of an interesting driving force for the species, the human species. And if we want to live an open life, then why not open learning? You see, the first few years and after the education, we are anyway leading an open life. So why not? Um, it should be um, open learning during the years of, let's say, 4 to 5 to about 25. We also realize that when we define purpose of education as learning to live, then it does not stop at, let's say, college, but it goes on till we are kind of dead and buried. So it's like the education is then lifetime. It is not then confined to any age or any stream, or any, but it's much wider in its approach. So that was our understanding of what is the purpose of education when we started thinking about education. Um, uh, Obviously, when we looked at our own schooling, and we realized that um, almost everything was decided by somebody. The school decided, the teacher decided, the system or the board decided what I should learn, how I should learn, how much I should learn, when I should learn, with whom I should learn. uh, uh, and I need to be tested by their scales, and so on. So nothing in the whole system, or the education aspect, looked open. Nothing was open. Everything was already stated, written down, and fixed. And that wasn't very exciting for us. Not that we feel there's anything wrong with that. That's just one way of doing it. So we wanted to explore, hey, how can we do it? Not trying to say that the other thing is not good. The other thing is, as I said, one way of doing it. How would we like to do it? So we kind of started dreaming, and said, okay, if we were to have, relive our childhood, what kind of education we would want, and if we were to offer that to our children, which is, I guess, children is the way to relive our childhood, our own children. So that's where we start. We kind of started thinking what kind of dream we want to do, and it didn't take much time. It was fairly uh, uh, spontaneous. That yes, I want to be the leader of my learning, my education, my goals, my everything. I want to lead myself. So that was the dream that that kind of appealed to us, and uh, that's the dream of open learning. That's the dream of unschooling. These are just different terms. So I will not be using homeschooling, unschooling term, but I would be sticking to the term open learning, because it is not just limited to the ages of schooling. It spans from 0 to till we are dead, let's say 99 or whatever, 0 to 100. So that is why I don't that we are that's why we are not limiting ourselves to the terms homeschooling or unschooling, because that's only about schooling, but this goes much beyond. Even at 20 I can lead my learning. Even at 30 I can lead my learning, and so on. In fact, at 30 most of us anyway need our learning, unless we go back to a college, right? So definitely this whole session is not just limited to the schooling years, but schooling plus college years, and the life after that. Okay, so back to our dreams. We wanted to lead ourselves, and hence have both an open learning and open life for ourselves and for our children. That was the dream. The key to us was I decide, as in, if I look at from a child's perspective, if I am a child, then I decide what to learn, how to learn, when to learn, how much to learn, and so on, with whom to learn, and so on. So can I decide, and what would happen if I decide? Well, what will it do to me, and to my learning, right? Okay, just doing a quick check. Are you able to all listen, hear me? Just give me a quick yes in the chat window, because it's there are few people, I think, who have not been able to enable the audio. Uh, so they would um, right. Thank you. I think it's just that few people. Uh, I think Zoom का help page है, वो मैंने WhatsApp में भी डाला था. They can check there how to check. Okay, so we just kind of some people are not able to hear. I think about 5 people are not able to. They've not enabled audio, so they are kind of messaging that they need help. Okay. Right. So we thought we will quickly share with you a little perspective. Sorry, we'll share with you a few thoughts about what does it mean to have an open learning, and essentially, if it means that open learning is in my hand, which means that we create a space for the child, both physical, mental, emotional space, where the child has the control in his hand. So we're taking the analogy of a hand, and for each finger we have put these words space, using it as an acronym. So let me quickly share with you what each of these letters stand for, and what's its importance in open learning. Okay, so the first obvious is the self-driven, the part where I decide what I want to do, and not anybody else. Now, this is something very strange for many of us, because at least during childhood we kind of tend to think that the child is dependent on us, and child maybe not be able to kind of decide or whatever. But if you look at it from the other window, or the other side, it's when I as an individual, or I as a child, when I decide something, then then it's so easy. Then it's just coming out of me. Then I just love to do it because I want to do it. So the energy of doing something is very different, right? There is no need to push the child when the child wants to learn something. Just to give you an example of my son, when he was still about 7.5, he didn't know how to read, and obviously there was no pressure on him to know how to read. But somewhere around that time, around the age of 7.5, 8, when he decided that he wants to learn how to read, because then he can, let's say, browse more effectively, and also he will not then need to be dependent on us if he wants to read something. The moment he decided, it was super fast. Within few almost few weeks he was reading, and he's now 13, and obviously he reads everything and anything under the sun, all kinds of novels. So the speed is, or the ease at which they are able to catch on once they want to do something is so amazing when it is self-driven. Yeah. So that's the big benefit of being self-driven. um, and that's important to, or rather that's the core um of open learning. The other thing which is very interesting about open learning is people. Now, when most people talk about open learning, they don't really talk about people. But for us, one of the most amazing source of learning when I'm in open learning is is almost everybody around me. You see, when I was in school as a child, my teacher was the person whom I would learn from. So the people from my learning was the teacher, and at best the teacher could be supplemented by, let's say, my parents, who would sometimes teach me, or a tuition teacher. So again, it's just those few people. But when you are in open learning, there is a vast array of people, and you are learning from anybody and everybody. You know, you are learning from people on the street, you're learning from relatives, aunts, uncles, neighbors. You are learning from people who have made YouTube videos, the people who have made online courses, free online courses. You're learning from people who have written books for us. So it's like a vast array of people, and you can decide whom you want to learn from. And not just that, for any one area, you have such a wide variety. Then you're not stuck with a very narrow range. And that to me is very very important aspect of open learning. Suddenly it looks like as if, I'm the center of the universe, and it's, or the world at least, and all the people around me are there to serve me in some way or the other. Somebody is writing a book for me, somebody's making a video for me, somebody's making a session for me, somebody's ready to talk to me. And in fact, one of the most beautiful things we have experienced is that at any time, if any child has asked any adult, or even we have asked on behalf of a child, that this child wants to learn this, will you teach me? Till now, not even one person has said no. Think of it this way: if today a child was to call you and say, uncle or auntie, this, I've heard that you are an, let's say, expert, or you know this well, would you teach me? Would you say no to a child? Right? It's so beautiful. Nobody says no to being ready to help children learn something. Then why do we need to be limited to just one or two people? Why do we need to say we need to have good teachers? Oh my goodness, the whole world is full of amazing people who can teach in an amazing way. Or at least, if I don't like from one person, I can go to another. So I consider myself as a child, or even as an adult, as the center of this whole population, which is like there to help me learn in many many different ways. Yeah, somebody is designing a resource for me, or somebody is designing a tool for me, or a book for me, or a guide for me, and so on. So it is so amazingly beautiful. So that's the aspect of P. um, the third aspect that we want to create in that space. So first we want it to be self-driven. Then we, within the space of open learning, which is obviously not limited by any geography, is a whole lot of people. And then a very fundamental need of being accepted as we are. So I want to do a very quick little activity with you. I want you to draw a small dot in the middle of your palm, just like the way we have done on the slide. Just grab a pen and draw a dot in the middle of your, let's say, left palm. And if you don't have a pen, don't worry, just imagine a dot. And then try to see which all fingers reach that dot of the left hand itself. So you draw the dot on the left hand palm, and then try to see the same palm. Sorry, the fingers of the same palm which all try to touch that dot. And once you have explored the center dot, make more dots around your palm in different places. and see which fingers reach there. And as you do this exercise, you will realize that, hey, not everywhere every finger cannot reach. There are some dots which only a particular finger can reach. Uh, there are other dots where other fingers can reach, and so on. Can I request everybody not to ask questions or make comments right now, even in the chat window? Just let me finish this initial spiel, and then we can take up questions. Right? Otherwise, it just distracts right now. Thank you. So if you extend this analogy, you realize that, hey, each finger is different. Each finger has its own strength. Each finger has its own dots where it can reach, and it doesn't need to reach elsewhere. Which means that, hey, we are all different, and isn't that beautifully the reason that we are same? So we are all same because we are different, and if we are all different, then we need to be accepted as what we are. And in that case, why do we need to be fitted into the same frame, the same class, the same bench, and so on? In fact, I was, I was reading about, dinosaurs and prehistory and all that, and I realized the amazing variety of dinosaurs that were there, the amazing number of species, right from the size of squirrels and rats, and to the size which would be like 20 or 30 elephants put together. So uh, it's beautiful when we realize that each one of us is unique, each one of us is different, and each one of us is uh, can be accepted as we are, rather than we trying to become somebody else, or trying to catch up with somebody else, or trying to everybody become the same. Right? So that's very core to open learning. The fourth point is perhaps the most interesting aspect, of the most attractive aspects, at least to the children, is choices. Who doesn't like choices? We all like choices. We all like that we have so many learnings to choose from. Literally, the whole universe then opens up. So then it is as beautiful to, let's say, do embroidery as it is to, um, let's say, learn science. And it is as beautiful to do cooking as it is to play football, as it is to uh, play guitar, or as beautiful it is to um, explore, uh, let's say, visual art and photography and so on. So the whole world suddenly opens up. There are windows and windows and windows and windows. And not only that, I am also open to all kinds of things. I'm open to millions of career choices. I'm open to um, even the choices of how much money I can earn. I don't need to get into a rat race. I don't need to become better than anybody else. I'm just living then out of so many choices that is available to us. In fact, our whole life is nothing else but choices. But the this gift of choices, of abundance of choices, I would say, that is available to us, uh, is something we can embrace. I would say only if we are doing open learning. Else, after our education, we are then supposed to be able to enjoy this, which may not be true, because we may get stuck up with a particular, let's say, stream, and so on. But anyway, I don't want to compare. But what is more important for me is that this whole joy of choosing, and not just choosing of subjects, or topics, or career choices, but also just choosing how to live my life. Right? When I grow up as an individual who is open to so many choices, I realize that I can question what is just given. Let's say an advertiser says, do this, I can question. Or somebody else tries to put things in one way, and I can question. And when I can question, I open up choices. So um, that's the joy of open learning. Finally, um, while choices brings beauty, uh, open learning brings another very joyous part, which is the effort. So open learning isn't something very easy. It's in fact, it's a lot of work, lots and lots of work. I say it's much more challenging, much more um, uh, effortful as compared to, let's just going to a school and somebody telling me what to do, because here I have to decide, I have to figure out, I have to research, I have to also bear the consequences of whatever I chose, and so on. But this effort, because it comes from me as the child or as the doer, is full of joy. And and that's what makes the open learning, uh, while it is effortful, it is also joyful. So these are the five aspects that I thought I would share about open learning. Just to review the SPACE, the kind of space, the kind of thing that we have in our hand when we are doing open learning is: I'm driven by myself. I am surrounded by millions of people whom I can learn from. I'm accepted for what my strengths are, my choices are, my uh, interests are, and so on. I don't need to fit in with everybody else. I live out of exploring choices. And yes, I put in a lot and lot of effort, because that's what uh, is there at the end of it. Uh, there's nothing else to do in the day but to put in effort to do lots of wonderful things that I would like to do. Right. So that's the way we look at open learning. Right. Um, the aspect of effort is also underlined beautifully by this little visual from the book Life of Pi, or the movie The Life of Pi, if you've seen that. Uh, when we are into open learning, uh, people often say, hey, what are the problems that you face? And I say, hey, there are no problems, because every problem is an opportunity to learn. Everything that happens in my day, right from uh, somebody says something when I go on the road, to I have a fight with my friend, to I'm not able to do something. So any problem that I face is really not a problem. It's actually the opportunity to learn. And that is uh, in some way the beauty of embracing the whole day, and everything that happens during the day as a curriculum, as a textbook, as a teacher, because everything is worth learning from. Um, so if I've spilled milk, that's is not spilled milk. Spilled milk is good news. That's an opportunity for me to learn. So everything, my emotions, my behavior, my interactions with others, my own self journey, my failings, my trying to do something and it not working, my idea of my own images about myself, about others, and so on. Uh, so that's how open learning is not just open in terms of options. It's also open 24 hours, and it's open all throughout the life. It's not going to end at any 25 or 35. It's going to go till we are whatever we are, till we die kind of thing. Right. So after all this, we landed up setting up Aarohi about 10 years back, and we moved into this rural campus about 5 years back. So I don't want to too much talk about Aarohi per se. I just want to say that Aarohi is a space. So we have purposefully created a space which is not limited to just children. In fact, there are people of all ages who keep coming in for whatever duration of time they can come in, and it's the huge amount of interactions that happens between people of all ages uh, that makes the whole uh, place so much enjoyable, at least for us. Just as an example, an adult came to the campus who was excited to make something, and this child wanted to make a raft, the visual on your screen. And this adult and this child got together. The child didn't know anything about buoyancy and how will things float. The adult knew all the science behind it, so they got together. The child's energy, enthusiasm, desire, and readiness to explore. The adult's knowledge, as well as desire to work with hands, because he hasn't been using his hands, kind of hands-on work, for a long time, being in a corporate culture. And these two people got together and created this raft, and they went rafting in the lake across our campus. So that's the joy of open learning, kind of doing it together, no boundaries, um, and learning so many things within this little making of a raft, which was just as an example that I wanted to share. Right, so let me pause here. This was my quick spiel as I shared with you, and we'll kind of move over to question and answers. So we can start with questions, and if you want to ask question on mic, you can come on mic and ask me. If you want to ask questions on through the using the chat window, you can come on the chat. And I have actually, I also went through, so many of you have in the form, registration form, we had put in that what questions you have. So many of you have been so kind to put in the questions there. And when I went through all the questions, I realized that broadly the questions were in three categories: questions about future, questions about the present, and a few questions about logistics, and a few of them about Aarohi. So if you're okay, we'll take them in this, because I'm just moving with the larger chunk towards the smaller chunk. So if you're okay, first we can take questions about future, because that seems to be a question that many people have. Okay. So Sudha, can I take your question a little later when we come to what happens in the present? How does a child decide what he wants to do? Right? Unless you are saying what does he want to do in future, if that is what you meant, as in a career choice. Is that what you meant, or you want as in today, what does he do? Okay, you're talking about career choice. Yeah, in which case we can talk about it now. So maybe if you can come on mic, maybe you can share what is the doubt that you have, and then we can take Kavya's question. Would you like to come on mic? Just unmute your mic and speak up. Okay. Okay, so okay, let me try and then answer based on what you have typed. You are asking, what if a child doesn't figure out what he wants to do? Mm-hmm. Okay, one way to look at it is it takes time. In fact, I would say the other way around. I personally feel in a conventional system, we are supposed to too soon decide what do we want. We are supposed to decide science or commerce, or those kind of things, which obviously preclude, which or rather exclude things, even which, let's say, sports and things like that. So we are too soon in life supposed to decide. Isn't it? Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could let children take their own time and decide and explore, and then think what is it that they really want to do? That is one. The other thing is, in my small experience, is that there are two kinds of people, and they're not really black and white two categories, but broadly I'm saying there's some of us who like to be who like to be like a bee, who like to find one flower and drill deep, uh, and some of us who like to be like a butterfly, so bee versus butterfly, who like to flutter from flower to flower. So there's some of us who want to explore many things throughout our life, who will possibly change many career choices, and there's some of us who will get into one area and then, you know, dig deep into it. So it's all, so I would say, again, why is there a need for everybody to quickly find out what is it that I want to do the whole life? uh, I would say give people time. And isn't that beautiful? And isn't that even important? Uh, and I would even say it's better than, if I take time to figure out what I want to do, isn't that better than doing what I don't want to do? Right? So if, uh, okay, somebody's saying, what age? I don't know what age we can decide what do we want to do as a career. We can decide maybe at 20, maybe at 30, maybe at 40. I don't know. It really depends on each individual. Many of us, even at a much later age, are not sure what we want to do in life, or keep changing. What's so wrong or right about it? Yeah. So that's the way, at least I look at it. Um, uh, Kavya, I'm not sure I've totally understood your question. Are you saying, uh, will again, I'm not sure if you're asking about that, will children be able to think about career choices, or you're saying at will they be able to think on a today basis? So if you can elaborate on that, then maybe I can respond to that. So more questions, especially questions related to future, because that seems to be at least in the registration form, a lot of you. And if somebody would like to come on mic and little talk about whatever is on your mind, whatever are your concerns, you're most welcome.
Yeah, hi. I'm Natasha.
Yeah, hi Natasha.
So, do they, I mean, will they have to give an exam or something finally to get into mainstream, or then there's no exam?
Okay, that really will depend on the child, I would say. Yeah. Okay, can I do one thing? Can I show you a small video?
Okay.
Yeah, just so maybe that would answer your question. Um, just give me a moment to pull that up. But meanwhile, somebody else can ask another question while I pull up a video which could answer um, what you are asking.
Hello, Ratnesh. This is Venkat here, and my wife Lavanya also along with me.
Yeah, yeah. Hi, Venkat and
Yeah.
Lavanya. Yeah.
So I have a question on how to deal with, let's say, certain aspects of learning and certain aspects of problem solving that will require formal methods to be employed. For example, be it in the sciences or, let's say, employment of math.
Just one moment. Sorry, can you repeat that, please? Yeah. Sorry, Venkat. Can you repeat
Yeah.
that, please? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just saying that I would like to hear your thoughts on how to deal with certain types of problem solving. When I
Hmm.
talk about problem, I'm talking about things like interesting problems that might require formal methods to be employed,
Like,
say mathematical methods, scientific methods to be employed to solve certain types of problems that will be required in your future life. Uh, say as you want to grow to become a scientist, etc. Since formal methods require certain type of let's say formal education or formal training, you could say, what are your thoughts on how we could adopt such methods? I mean, do we leave it to the child to figure out what types of formal methods to employ? For example, how would a child ever know, how would a kid, let's say 15, 16-year-old kid, know that a kid has to understand binomial theorem to solve a certain type of problem, right? So I just want to understand, uh, is there a way that we could combine a certain amount of formalism in say while the learning is going on?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not very sure how many of us have ever used a binomial theorem in our life to solve any problem. What I'm trying to say is that what you are, the kind of example that are coming to my mind at least, and uh, is very specialized. See, if I am doing something of that sort which requires binomial, uh, let's say, solutions, then I can learn binomial theorems and how to solve them at any age. I can even learn them at 40 years or 50 years. How does that matter? But if I may look at it, most of us don't really need that kind of uh, what you're calling as, to me, is the mathematical kind of problem solving. Most of us use the kind of mathematics we use is plus minus, multiplication, division, maybe percentages. I guess that's the max that we use. Something which we have learned typically by in conventional system by about fourth standard or fifth standard. So I'm not very sure uh, if you really need those to learn at that age. Why can't we learn it as and when we need it, if we need it? So if I choose to go into a scientific field, I might need to learn that, which I can learn at any point of time. I'm sure you have learned a lot of things on the job which you didn't learn in any school or college. So it isn't that your learning stops at college. In fact, a whole lot of learning happens after college. So why are we worried that we would not be able to learn, or the child will not be able to learn anything, let's say at a later stage uh, of life, depending on if he needs it? In fact, I would say the reverse is true. A lot of actual life problem solving, which is, let's say, emotion problems, social problems, uh, living problems, day-to-day problems, these are not at all available in a conventional system. I was never taught about anything about emotions for that matter, but I deal with emotional problems on a daily basis. My own emotions, right? I keep running into trouble with people all around me every single day. So to me, those are the bigger problems. Not they're not really problems, but they are the things which I need to really learn. But there's no subject. The amount of time we spend on, let's say, mathematics, if the same amount of time we would have understood relationships, I think I would perhaps have better relationships in my life, which is far, far more important than mathematics. So, yeah, these are the 2 points. So, one is it really needed? And is there something else which is possibly more important needed? And if at all I need formal, structured methods, like which is more of mathematical methods, I can always learn them at any age. That's the way I look at it. Did that kind of respond to your question?
Yeah, most part of it definitely, yes, Ratnesh. Thank you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi, I'm Kavya.
Yeah.
You did not understand my question earlier. What I actually wanted to know was if I'm going to choose a self driven lifestyle for my kid who's 7 years old, now she chooses a field, and after some 10 years, she chooses something else, and after some 5 years, she chooses something else, like you said about a butterfly and a bee.
Sure.
After about some 26 to 27 years of age, where will she be with different fields exposed to her? What will she want to pursue when she has to
That
settle
will
down?
depend on her. Why? What is worrying you?
No, it's like I have the fear of failure. If at 27 or 30, if she feels that, okay, now I have gone through so much in my life, but I'm not able to decide what I want, will that come? That is
But
my doubt.
yeah, I mean, if she feels at 26 that she is still not been able to decide what exactly she wants to do, I think that's all right. Why do we need to have this pressure on our head that we need to decide by a certain age what is it that we want to do in our life? Why can't I say, okay, let me do something for the next 6 months and then I will see if that is what I want to do for the next 10 years, or I want to just keep changing after every time. I'm still trying to understand where is the concern. I mean, what if I do not want to have one decision for my life? Why do we need to define our life with one career choice? Some of us may want to, but some of us may want to have 50 careers in our life. Why not? What's so wrong or right about changing career choices, exploring different things in my whole life? So that's how I am looking at.
Okay, now when I make a career choice, it is like what is my interest in life, what I
Sure,
love the most, and what I
sure.
love the most doing for even hours and hours of a day. Now,
Yeah.
if I have changes in it, is it like I'm not constant? Is it like my likes change?
Why not?
I don't know myself. Is it like that?
No, I know myself that my life's changing. So,
Okay.
isn't that, isn't that's why I said some of us are like butterflies and some of us are like bees. Why should we value bees over butterflies or butterflies over bees? I mean, they're just, and not, these are not two separate categories, it's a continuum.
Hmm.
What I'm trying to say is that each one of us is just different. Some of us would want a lot of, uh, some of us are very clear, or some of us are, they do not look very clear. And isn't it all right to be not clear? I mean, why should we are so stuck with one thing? So I would,
It is.
in my
It
view,
is.
there is no, uh, at least I don't have an anxiety with a child or an adult even who wants to, who's not sure what he wants to do tomorrow. You know, why not?
Okay, first point, I don't consider money to be very, very important. I don't want
Sure,
lakhs and lakhs of rupees like an IT employee or something. But what I feel is for my living, for my basic essential needs, I will need money. And for that,
sure,
I will have to earn. For that,
sure.
I will have to go by my interest. If I keep changing my interest, if I don't succeed in one field, I shift to another. What will be my financial position? How can I be able
But
to handle?
that's exactly what I will need to decide. That okay, so now on one side I also need some money, and on another side I also want to be, let's say, jumping from one career to another. So I, as an individual, at a certain point will need to make a choice. What is it that I want to do, right? And I'll give you a very interesting example. One of my, uh, you can call him a friend. Uh, what he does is he works for 6 months, and uh, at that time his own whole objective is to get some money out, and then he enjoys for 6 months, and something like that, and that's the life that he lives. And he, every time, that 6 months of enjoyment or the 6 months of working could be very, very different every year. Roughly, meaning not like structurally 6 months, but I'm just saying. So it could be like that also. Again, are we, have we already defined everything, that this is what is acceptable, this is what will give you money, this is what will give you happiness? Or are we open to child designing his own life, which would include all these challenges? And isn't that wonderful? Child will have to think through and figure out what he wants to do with money challenges, with job challenges, with whatever business challenges, and so on. To me, that's the joy of living. If everything is sure and everything is settled, then what am I living for?
Yeah, thank you. I understand your point now. Thank you.
Welcome.
Ratnesh, this is Lavanya. Just related to that,
Yeah,
see, when we are not deciding for a long time, there are some practical limitations, isn't it? Like beyond a certain age, I cannot apply for medical seat, or
sure,
there are
sure.
such kind of things, right? And if you are taking too many breaks, there could be a lot of corporates which do not want to uh, take you, or do you suggest that's the challenge you want the child to go through?
Okay, so Lavanya, first of all, the kind of examples that you're giving, of the age or the constraint of, let's say, a competitive exam and stuff like that. If you really started, sit down and make a list of all the possible professions you can think of, all the possible professions in this world, right? Which you are okay with your child taking up, let's say, or you know, you would realize that only about 3 or 5% of the professions have these limitations. The rest of the huge amount of professions, right from music industry to to language industry, as in writing industry, to journalism, to none of them have age limitations. None of them have competitive exams. Very, very few. It's the medical and it's the um, uh, medical also. Only if you're a doctor that you need. If you're a social worker, you can still get into lots of areas of things. So I'm saying, are we so stuck with these handful of, I don't know why, but tom choices of, let's say, doctor or lawyer or um, maybe few more. In today's world, in IT, you don't need an age. You don't even need a certificate. If I'm good at coding, I could be in real demand, right? So if you really, really look at them, the amount of choices which are constrained in this fashion, that okay, you have to have a certain age, which is, let's say, IAS, for example, or I can't be 50 years old and choose for IAS, is very, very less. In fact, I can be 50 years old and get into politics if I want to get into administration. Why not? Then IAS will be my juniors or whatever, will listen to me. So the choices are really, really wide. So I think we need to just open up our own perspective about what all is available in this world. Once we open that up, then we realize that these are hardly any worries. Does that kind of answer what you were asking?
Yeah, yeah, sort of. But I have that. What if there is complacence and don't want to? I mean, really try hard. Say if something doesn't come to you easily, right? As you said, there is a lot of effort. And what if some complacence sets in and
Sure, but the
they know?
competency can be set in at any age with anybody from any background. In itself, that's got nothing to do with open learning or school learning. Even in school learning or college learning, I can be very complacent. Even after the best of the learning, being a topper, I can be complacent in the rest of my job. So, so I if you're saying if there's a complacency, well, that's a child's choice. He is or she is saying, I want to be complacent, then she has to bear the brunts of the choice that he or she is making, irrespective of what kind of learning one has gone through. Even in the best of the jobs, if you are complacent, you'll be kicked
Okay.
out. Wouldn't you be? I mean, unless you get into a government job, you can be complacent and maybe not get kicked out. But even there, things are changing. You have to become more accountable even there. But in a private, in most of the jobs of businesses, if you're complacent, you are out of the race. So it's a choice that the child is making, and the child has to bear the consequences of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let me take a couple of questions which are there in the chat window. Rituparna is talking about, okay, how to give that environment. Can I come to that question when I come to the questions about present? So we'll push that questions onto that. Sudha's question is, oh, how do you get your husband? Well, I don't know if I can answer that question. That you'll have to figure out within you as a family how you want to build that. Uh, um, maybe the only thing I can say is maybe give him also more time to figure out what is open learning. Maybe keep talking about it in different ways, and I don't know how things will go. But that's still something that's beyond what I can talk about. Okay. Uh, okay. So Radhi, I think she has an answer for the concern. She's saying that when the child is homeschooling, the child is more concerned about himself. I kind of agree with Radhi, because when you are um, uh, kind of on your own, and you know you are on your own in the sense of that you are self-driven, then you know that everything, you are responsible, everything comes back to you. See, in a school, I can always say school is bad, curriculum is bad, subjects I don't like, I can always blame something else. At least in open learning, I can't blame anything else, I can only blame myself. So even if I take bad decision, even if I am complacent, even if I am not concerned, uh, it will come around to me, maybe after 6 months, maybe after a year, maybe after a couple of years, and I'll realize, oh my goodness. So wake up call will very soon happen. uh, and then I know that I need to get things right. So the charge is in my control. Uh, Mithal is asking, what if a child can't make choice? Um, well, I don't know what exactly you mean by, maybe you can come on mic, that would help. When you say, what if child can't make choice? What kind of choices the child is not able to make? And if the child is saying, I don't want to make any choice, please put me in a school, then you please go ahead and put him in the school. There's no problem with that. At least I don't see a problem with that. But I'm trying to understand, what do you mean by the child can't make a choice? Because I haven't yet met any child which can't make a choice. Yeah, so I'm still with Mithal's question. Mithal, would, if you have mic, maybe we can interact on mic. That would help clarify. You can just unmute your mic and speak up. Okay. Okay. Somebody. Okay. From DNA to everyone. Sorry, I would need a name to talk to you. Uh, uh, Whoever has posted this question, Deepa. Okay. Um, um, if you have a mic, it would be nice if I can interact with you, because that's a very, very broad question. What's the role of a parent? I would say whatever role the parent wants to take. It depends on the parent. Uh, Parent wants to play with the child, be with the child, give the child everything. So it really, it varies from parent to parent. So, but if you have a more detailed question, then I can answer that.
Yes, Ratnesh, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Deepa.
Hi. No, the question mainly sparked off with this thought of what should I, what skill should I teach my child to be able to go through open learning? For example, uh, the child is going to take complete responsibility of his or her learning. So, how do I instill that skill, or you know, if my
Nothing. The
child
child
is
is born designed to learn openly. I don't see any need to teach a specific skill to learn openly. The first 3 years of the child, nobody teaches anything to the child. But the child is all the time exploring, curious, trying to figure out things, learning, let's say, a mother tongue without anybody teaching, and so on. Meaning, if you look at the child from 0 to, let's say, 2 or 3, oh my goodness, the amount of learning that the child does is amazing. And that means the child is born with all the skills the child needs. In terms of skills of learning, the child is born with. Now, a specific skill, the child may ask for help. If the child comes to you and says, okay, how do I, let's say, throw a frisbee? And it's up to you. If you know, teach him. If you don't know, you can see who can guide him, or you can ask him only, you figure it out. You watch some videos, you can read them from a book. So we can help the child with resources, we can help connect the child with people, we can teach if we want to, if the child wants us to teach him. And again, as I said, it depends on the parent, what kind of role the parent wants to play. The parent can outsource that task, or say, okay, we'll both together learn how to, we'll play every day for 10 minutes and see if we can ourselves figure out how to throw frisbee. So obviously I'm taking a very simple example, but the idea is that there's no fixed way, there is no fixed role.
no, for example, sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt.
sure.
For example, um, what if I want to expose the child to, or
Sure.
not what if I expect the child to be um, taking something up on his own, then I think the child should be exposed to as many things as possible, as many opportunities as possible
Fair
before the
enough.
child decides, right?
Fair enough.
So one of the things that I should probably doing is getting him to say, if I want him to take up, if I think singing is important, he has the skill to do that, then I should probably be taking him to concerts and things like that to expose him more to that as well.
Maybe,
So
yeah.
such kind of things I'm asking, or
But
or
isn't
will
that
it be too
isn't
much?
that fairly obvious, Mini? To me, again, it's fairly obvious, Mini. Any parent-child team or a family can figure out based on what the child is showing as to what is it that they need. Meaning, it could be your daily dinner discussion that okay, this is what we can do tomorrow. Should we go to a concert, not go to a concert. Either the child can come up with the idea or one of the parents can come up with the idea. Hey, let's go to concert since you are interested in singing. But I'm saying it's not something. It's not some rocket science. It is something so simple and obvious. You just need to embrace it with openness and not get stuck by that only if I put you in a class and only if I put you in a course and only if you go through an exam, only then you can learn this. So which is exactly what I'm saying. In most cases, the child doesn't really need somebody to be skilled, either the parent or the child to be skilled in a particular way. What we just need is togetherness, and we can, yeah, explore lots of things. And as it's some of the things we can see who can help, some of the things maybe we can help the child, some of the child can look at other resources to help, or the child just want to explore on his own. All combinations. So what I'm trying to say is that believe me, it's easy in that sense. It's not that I need to develop something very special. I just need to be ready to embrace lots and lots of options and excitements.
Yeah, but I shouldn't also overdo it, right? I mean,
Why would you
when,
overdo it? And if you are overdoing it, the child will say, "Enough, da. You have taken me to these so many concerts. Enough of concerts, mom."
no, no, that's
Yeah,
not
I'm
what
just
I meant. If I
yeah.
am,
See, that's the beauty of it. The overdoing also will. There is no overdoing per se. Uh, in the sense, what is overdoing? Overdoing is when somebody feels this is too much, and whoever feels it is too much would automatically raise their hand.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? See,
Right, right.
I was reading about a music director, um, and what I've what was amazing was that for 10 years of his life, from the year 20 years to 30 years, he just watched movies, nothing else. Every day of the 10 years, he would just watch movies. That's all he did. And only after 30 or 32, he started making movies. Right? Now, I'm saying, did he overdo it? I don't think so.
Right, right.
Can you hear me?
So
Hello?
it's difficult to define what is overdoing. If he was sick of watching movies, then it would have been overdoing. If he is totally into it, and we can see how his passion of, let's say in this case, movie making, then I think it's not overdoing.
Right. I got it. Yes.
Hello, can you hear
Yeah.
me? Ritesh?
Yes,
Yeah,
Kant.
with regards to Deepa's question, see, at the age of 5 or 6, when the kid wants to imitate what the parents are doing, when at that age, the kids mainly try to imitate all that they see, all that they hear, and all that they learn from the surrounding. In that case, when I want not just what I want to expose my kid to more options, like what Deepa said, and which
Sure.
is not available here, but I feel that she has that natural talent for that particular thing. For example, Bharatanatyam, which none of us know, but I
Mhm.
feel she has the talent. Now, how do I bring that into her, or how do I expose her? Like I take her to functions where Bharatanatyam was being, but that does not bring her interest to learn. She does not ask me to learn unless and until her first teeth falls, right? Only after the age of 8, the kids will want to learn something. As far as I have learned over the internet about kids and psychology and all that, I feel the kids want to learn only after they are 8. They open up asking up for learning only after they are 8. Am I wrong in what I learned over the internet?
I have no idea about this 8 years thing. I think children are born with an innate and a huge desire to learn, a huge desire to learn. Right from day zero or day one, they are learning all the time. I don't know what this age 8 means, wherever you have read, with due respect to your sources. I'm not trying to question it. I'm just trying to observe what I see around me. Children, now the problem is we have structured every single learning so much. Meaning today I see 4-year-olds into skating classes, swimming classes, music classes. Yeah, a 4-year-old, you just give him a roller skates, within a week he will be rolling on it. You throw him into a pool and he will be soon learning how to swim. You don't need kids into class. So we have first of all created these classes, and then we start thinking, oh, if I don't put the child, then how will he learn? Right? I would say a lot of learning can happen when the child just enjoys what he enjoys at whatever age he is ready. I don't know about any psychology. I'm not a psychologist. I haven't learned any psychology whatsoever. I've just worked with children, thousands of them, and the only thing I have observed is when a child is ready, irrespective of the age, whenever he or she is wanting, and the want can come because the child, let's say, is ready because of the skill, or that the child may be influenced by another child or TV or a movie or whatever. When the child is ready, the child will go for it. Yes, the child needs some exposure. The child may see another child. As I said, the child may see something on a movie, on a TV, or the child may see something on a street, and then may want to learn that. So the exposure, yes, important, but teaching structured classes, not necessarily.
Okay, a few minutes ago you spoke about a small kid who wanted to learn after some 6 or 7 years, and he started learning within weeks. He learned it very quickly
8 years, 8 years.
under 8 years.
Yes.
That actually helped me analyze what I learned online. Like I told you about the 8 years thing, after which the kids have the thirst for knowledge. Okay, I don't know how to that is or what I
Okay,
learned.
in which case I should give you an example of a 14-year-old who learned reading at 14 years.
Okay,
So,
okay,
so,
okay.
no, no,
It's
no.
about their need
So,
to learn and they
yeah,
need to.
and there is another child right here at Aarohi who wants to learn to read at 6, and she has picked it up totally on her own.
Okay.
So I don't think it's to do by age. I mean, why do think we need to bind things by age? It's to
Mm-hmm.
do with each child. Some child may want to do it at 18, some child might at 8. How does that matter?
Okay. Okay. Thank
So,
you.
so it's not about a particular age. Somebody is also writing, how do we do open learning from 0 to 5? It's not about 0 to 5. I would say, how does learning happen from 0 to 100? How are you learning anything? It's the same way that we can learn at 3 and at 13, at 33 and at 73. And each one of us learns in many, many different ways. And we also change our ways of learning over our ages. So please don't get caught up with this age thing. Learning is not about an age. Learning is about the learner, how he or she wants to learn, what he or she wants to learn, how much he or she wants to learn, how fast or slow he or she wants to learn. Yeah, so that's the way I okay. Okay, let's take Sudha's question. Sudha, I directly I don't think this question is related to learning. Uh, this is a different question. So I would skip this question about TV and gadgets and all that. We can talk about it in some other session about um, because anything for that matter is at any point of time is both good or bad, right? It's not uh, it's not about what is good or what is whether something is good or whether something is bad. It's about how we use it. Yeah, how we use anything, TV or gadget, or for that matter anything in this world. So let me not get into what the whole behavioral, habitual, or whatever, addiction and all that. That's a different topic altogether. That's not directly related to open learning, so I'll skip that. Right. Um, more questions?
Hello. Can
Yeah.
you hear me? Yeah. I'm sorry. I have a question. There was a slide which stated that how do kids give their 10th or the 12th standard, and we had they can link it to their NIOS
Oh
or
yes.
they can for the
Let me. Yeah, the video is ready. So can I just quickly show you all a
yeah.
small video, very small video. Yep. Okay, just give me a moment. I'm ready with the video. Right. Could you see the video? Okay, and did that kind of quickly answer? Uh,
Yeah, so over in the video it says that you
sure,
can opt for an NIOS or a
sure.
yeah, but do you all promote an exam when the kids feel that they are ready or something, or
Sure,
do
why
they?
not? Meaning it's for the, see, it's child driven. So the child has to decide. The child says, I want to give an exam and go to either a particular course or a college. Why not?
Okay, and then this exam has to happen at a particular time, or it can happen at any time when the child is comfortable,
At
or
any
any
time.
particular
At any
age or
time.
something.
No particular age.
Okay, and supposing if they would want to join in actually most of the courses today, everything requires certain qualification, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want, like, even if you decide to go in for an interior design course, you need to have completed some like a 10 plus 2 or something like that. So then in that case, then what? Then they sit down and they do all the things, all the studies again by themselves.
Yeah, okay. So you've given me a good opportunity to talk about. So again, see, we seem to, even when we talk about open learning, a lot of us tend to think of open learning within the schooling years. But I really think that we need to think about the whole thing. Is it just about schooling, or what about the so-called higher education, right? Now, let's take the example that you gave. Now, there is one way of learning interior designing, just taking your example,
Right.
which is by, yes, doing a course. Yeah. And I'm not trying to say that doing a course is not good, but that's one choice, one way of doing it. Okay. And I can give, as I was showing in the video also, I can, through NIOS and all that, I can give an exam and get enough marks and get into a 2-year, 3-year, or 4-year, let's say, interior design course. That's one option. Well, how about another option where, let's say, I go and work somebody who, like an intern, because when we think about open learning for the older age group, which is, I would say, starts happening around 14 years, 14, 15 years, when they are able to independently go out, 16, 17, 18, and 20 years, when they're able to go out independently and work with people. Um, and that journey is amazing. When I work with an actual architect or work with an actual interior designer, and I start learning on the job, and I start thinking and I start creating my own, let's say, working style and learning style. And then I create a space for myself in, let's say, the interior designing market. Now, if you happen uh, to be a self-learned interior designer, and if people like what you do, then people don't come and ask you where is your degree. They like what you do. Your work is your whatever proof or your credential. The the work is something what the people come you for. If you are a whatever interior designer, fashion designer, even building designer for that matter, uh, even software designer, anything that you are designing. So that is the beauty of open learning, where you can learn with people who are there, who are the experts, who are on the job, who can actually, with from whom you can directly learn uh, what requires to be learned. So it's actually beautiful. But if you, yes, if you want to still go through a course kind of a learning, there's absolutely no problem. And there are enough courses available and enough people ready to absorb you as part of their courses. In today's world, there are more schools and more colleges than there are children. So there's a big, it's not a demand equation, it's a supply equation. There's more supply. So you can easily get into something or the other if you want to do a course.
True. True. Thanks. I think this is the first time I'm talking to someone who says like you can learn by yourself and don't have to go to a course. Otherwise you normally require certification for a lot of things. So yeah, this is a very new way of looking at stuff.
Sure. And believe me, you're talking to absolutely the wrong person, because I don't have any degree in psychology or education. So if you ask me, Ratnesh, what is your credentials to talk about learning? Forget open learning or education. You are not even qualified. Yes, I'm not qualified. So I'm the wrong person to talk to. But then people don't ask me. In my last 18 years since I started working with children, me and my wife started working, nobody has asked me, what is your degree? They see our work and then they talk to us. And I'm not saying everybody is attracted to our work. Whoever is attracted to our work, good enough. So, so, so there it is. If you're looking for degree, sorry, wrong number. Okay, let's take a couple of questions on the chat window. Okay, Mitchell is asking, open learning work for children with special needs. Well, that depends on what you mean by special needs, because according to me, all of us are special and all of us have special needs. Why do we need to differentiate between whatever normal and special? The normal and special is only required when you have a system. People who can follow the system are normal, and people who cannot follow the system are abnormal. And then they give a better name to it, calling it special. But when you don't have a system, everybody is normal, or rather everybody is special, or rather everybody is abnormal. So to me, I mean, everybody is just everybody, or whatever. Each one of us is just different, and depending on me, I may have my own as a child, I will have my own, let's call it, needs. And as a parent, then you can see how you build things around my needs. Okay, so that's my response. And to that extent, the only thing I can say is, at least in Aarohi, all children whatsoever are welcome, absolutely most welcome. Okay, so Jayashree is talking about something called as introverted, which I don't know what it is. So there's no role of child's temperament. Child's temperament is not a fixed thing, Jayashree. It's a changing thing. what you call as introvert outside the house is not introvert inside the house. So how can you call somebody as introvert? Or what is an introvert? I have absolutely no idea. I see each child as just a unique individual who has their own way of living their life, none better than the other. There is nothing like an introvert, extrovert, or this word or that word. Each one is just so unique and so different and so beautiful. And if we look at it that way, then, well, learning is for everybody, however they want to learn. So it isn't defined by the the by the way we define somebody. See, this introvert, extrovert is labels we are putting. They are not absolute label. They are labels which is put by people who are observing, or not even observing, but judging the other person, right? Somebody who is an introvert for you may not be introvert for me. So how do you define what is introvert? So sorry, I might be sounding a little harsh, but I think we are doing more disservice to children by thinking of them as special, introvert, this, that, rather than just embracing each one as a unique, beautiful individual, which is what each one of us is. Okay, so Rituparna is saying, I think in a way we answered your question. I really don't know what your question means. If you're homeschooling at home or open schooling or open learning at home, just go ahead and enjoy yourself, freak out, do all kinds of things, whatever you and your child want to do. I mean, there isn't really anything that I can give you. I can't give you tips or guidelines because that will destroy the whole purpose of open learning. The open learning is when you discover each day as a gift that you have received, and you want to do whatever you want to do with that gift, not somebody who tells you what to do with that gift. Then it will become schooling. Then you go back to school. So my only tip is that there is no tips. Please don't take tips. Or my only guidelines is that there are no guidelines. And isn't that beautiful? Each day is a journey full of possibilities, full of options, and full of you being the painter of your canvas.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah, and just one moment, let me just finish that. And there is no question of anybody not equipped to live their life. There is nothing like you have to be equipped, you have to be PhD in something. Come on, we are all equipped to live, and that's good enough. It doesn't require anything special. And as I had already answered to somebody else's question, if you think a particular so-called exposure is required, please go ahead and give that exposure if it's available to you. If it's not available to you, so what? There are millions and millions and millions of things in this world. What happens if you're not? How many of you are exposed to astronomy? How many of you have done surfing in your life? How many of you have done embroidery in your life? How many of us have done whatever, all kinds of things? So if we haven't done it, how does it matter? Everybody doesn't need to do everything in life, right? So, and if somebody is, for example, interested in dance, I don't need to expose the child to every single dance form in this world. It's not even physically possible. I don't have to drag her from Bharatanatyam to Kuchipudi to Odissi to whatever, ballerina to any kinds of dance forms. Why? Whatever the child likes to, whatever is available, whatever the child feels joyous about is good enough. At least good enough to start. Then the child will take it forward however the child wants to take it forward. So what I'm trying to, I hopefully comfort you, is that you don't really need anything. The most beautiful thing you need is, as I think Radhe mentioned somewhere in a comment before, is removing all these barriers about that or lines that we have drawn saying, oh, we need this, oh, we need that. We don't need anything. We just need a fresh, beautiful day tomorrow and go ahead and live it fully the way we want to do it, depending on whatever is available, depending on wherever you are. If you have hills available, go hiking. Right? If you have plains available, go skating. If you have sea available, go swimming. If you have lemons available, make lemonade. I hope I get across with what I mean.
Ratnesh, Radhe here.
Yes, Radhe.
I just yeah. So maybe finally you mentioned that too. The one thing that I thought I've been struggling, like very similar to the questions that I see here is, I always think I'm bothering the children, like their flow is actually can be better if I'm not interrupting it, if I'm not disturbing it in any way. So where to stop, and where I need not go, and those things actually, I was totally unaware. I should say I only learned after I um, got when after I attended this TTT, that only taught me where I could stop and where I could unlearn many things that we think, like the children should always be focused on studies and all those things. And when my son was opening the tap and he's watching it for a minute, I was thinking he's wasting water, but the perspective of looking at it as he's observing something, he's seeing the flow of water, he's seeing the patterns. That kind of a perspective came to me only after I attended TTT. So this kind of bothering the children's flow, uh, if one person gets comfortable about where to stop from bothering the children, maybe we are all in the flow, and there will be only joy, and every moment is actually enjoyable. And I should say, as I'm learning a lot from my son nowadays.
Sure.
How to learn.
Sure. Right. So I think what Radhe was indirectly marketing was a training program that we do, which is also an online program, which is now called Jagrati. So yeah, if you want to explore some of those dimensions, you can join the next batch, which will be in June. So thanks, Radhe, for
No, actually,
indirectly
that's
marketing.
not an indirect marketing, Ratnesh. That is a direct marketing. I would suggest, each and every one of you, if you have any doubt as to where you should stand as a parent and how to be a parent, maybe we have to take up that course, is what I want to tell.
Thanks, Radhe.
Yeah, thanks, making it a point. Also, thanks.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Radhe, thank you.
just one more thought. Let me just quickly add to. So not only that, yeah. So an invitation to all of you, if you have, if you want to experience open learning, if you haven't experienced it, please come to our campus. Stay with us, maybe a week, 2 weeks with your child. Please come and stay with us, and then you will see how things happen, flow, how problems happen, and how problems are so beautiful that each problem can lead to further learning and so on. So inviting you to come and see how open learning can, one way of how open learning can happen. The details are there on the website of how you can come and stay and all those things. And obviously you can email to me if you want to come and stay here. Sorry, somebody was asking something. Yeah. Go ahead.
Hi, Aarohi, Kavya. See, like somebody else asked, give me tips for open learning or homeschooling. You said that is the beauty of open learning. We don't give tips and go ahead with it. We learn as we go in our life.
Sure.
My question is, with the holidays coming, and most of the time I don't have gadgets at home, except for this laptop. My daughter and I are like, what are we going to do next? We're a little bored. We don't know what to do. At those times, how can open learning help me in engaging both of us into something?
Okay, maybe you can start with making the longest list possible of what all different things you have seen around you right at the beginning of your holidays. The longest list possible. Go to every single, maybe go for a walk around and onto the road and see every single thing. If you see a car, say, would you like to open an engine and see it? If you see a hoarding of a heroine and say, would we like to do an acting and make a movie, and or dress a designer dress and so on. I think the options are all out there. This system has constrained us to think that we can only do this much and this age, and all of these fences that have been built, and the whole thing has caged us. You can just destroy all those yourself. So I think I would suggest just take a walk and
Okay.
just let yourself not be barred with, oh, but I don't know anything about car. How does it matter? Open up and see what is there inside. How does it matter? If you don't want to open it, go to the net and see how does an engine work. Do you know how does an engine work? Do you know how an
Mm.
engine works? No? Have you thought of watching a video about how an engine works?
No, I haven't.
No? Yeah, go ahead, watch it. Maybe after 2 minutes you'll say this is too difficult. I don't want it. Close it. Close it. Who cares?
Okay.
Nobody's going to take an exam on you. So don't have to worry about. Nobody's watching you. Did you see the whole video or not?
Mm.
That's the beauty of open learning. I can close it whenever I want.
Mm.
I can switch over. I can move to the next one.
Okay, okay.
Right. I think the whole whatever, not to blame you, the whole conditioning has blinkered us into thinking that it has to be of a certain kind of a certain format, then only it will make sense.
That's true. We were brought up like that. We live like that, and we are expecting our kids something to be like that. That's
Yeah,
why I understand. I explore what is around me, and I lead away.
yeah, yeah. Just go ahead, rename everything in your house randomly. Don't call a cupboard a cupboard. Call it garacha. Something. Create your own language. Completely destroy the language.
Yeah.
You can go crazy. Your summer holidays can be one berserk crazy roller coaster ride.
That's true. That's true.
Absolutely free of cost.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, more questions. So we've talked a lot about future. We are also talking. You're most welcome to now post questions about. In a way, we have already talking about what can we do in the present. So actually, yeah, let any question come in. Okay, so just let me respond to Sudha's chat message. She's taking, uh, uh, I realize the damage. So first of all, I don't think, Sudha, in any which way you've done any damage. So there's nothing to repair. Uh, I we don't need to look at things as wrong, right, good, bad, damage, or beneficial. That's one very polarized way of looking at life. The other way is that it's just a journey. You've crossed some stations. You have traveled in a certain way, and now you can go into your train need not carry on in the same way. Your train can go into any other pathway that you want. So if you start thinking of it as a journey, not about right, wrong, good, bad, then there's no damage, there's no need to repair. Just decide where does this train wants to go tomorrow. Yeah? And the year in front or the next 5 years, and you can take your train wherever you want to go, as in you and your family and your child may want to go. So that's the way I look at it. There is absolutely no damage, there's absolutely no repairing. Okay, our hand raised. Yes, Tanuja, would you like to ask?
Yes, sir. Actually, this concept is very new for me,
Sure.
homeschooling. And today only I just joined this group.
Okay.
Nikita has given me this link.
Okay.
So I just when I talked with her, she told me that she's having Montessori stuff and all, and one is space for library. And she's not teaching her kids. She just simply leave them inside room, and they will be playing and they will be learning on their own. Like that, she told me. So do I need to keep such things or like that? It's I mean the uh, just little confusing for me. What step should I take? Like that it is. My no, elder one, she is studying in LKG, or younger one is in play school only.
Sure.
So what should I?
So I think I've already answered this question. Your friend has collected some resources and is doing it in one way, which is wonderful.
Yeah,
You do it
yeah.
in your way, which could be a mix of what she is doing it, or could be whatever you want to do, or a mix, or however you want to do it. And it will not be fixed. In open learning, we keep on evolving, changing. So today it could be resource heavy, tomorrow it could be travel heavy, third day it could be something else, project heavy, fourth day it could be internet heavy. I'm saying
Yeah.
the beauty is not in defining it in one way. If we had to define it, we can as well go back to schools only. Then why do open learning?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it is not that your friend will also be doing it after after a few weeks. If you go, she might be doing something totally different. Then you will say, oh, you changed. So don't copy anybody. Learn from everybody, but do what you feel
Okay.
like doing, and leave it very open. Just because you did something in today in one way doesn't mean that it has to be done the same way tomorrow. So
So one thing always comes in mind that my parents, they expected from me something more than what they did. Same way I also expect, but not that deeply. But still I expect that my kids should be better than me. I'm a lawyer, but now means I'm looking after them. I've just simply left my completely. I left my practice. So means like that. I want them to be better and better than me.
but
Like that,
better
I
than
just feel.
better than you in what way?
Means I think that they are having more intelligence comparative to me. So that has to be used, and maybe somewhere I'm unreasonable that I want them to, their intelligence should be shown to world like that.
Well
Sometimes it
said, but in
comes
what
in my
way?
mind.
What
Yeah,
way? And why does it okay?
yeah.
Whether you want to show it to the world is your choice, but I'm still not sure what do you mean by better, because in what way do you want them to be better?
And moreover, sir, that will be very funny on my part. I also don't know how to, what limit I want for them. Nothing is decided. Just I want, they should be good, they should be better, like that, better than me. Always the comparison will be with me or my husband, like that it will be.
Uh, I don't know
Am
if
I
I can answer this question.
correct?
That's really up to you to decide how you want what do you want for whatever are your expectation or what do you want from your children.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can from from a perspective of learning, the only thing is it's not a question of whether they are less or more intelligent. Let's just assume
Yeah,
each one of us is differently intelligent. You are different,
yeah,
your husband is different, your child is different. Now we're talking about
yeah.
three different individuals, and if we are talking about different, then there is no reason
Mm-hmm.
to compare. And if there's no reason to compare, what is really important is the child blossoms as that individual, not
Mm-hmm.
better than you or better than your husband or better than anybody in this world, but but
Mm-hmm.
she's allowed, or he or she is allowed to grow up to be the individual he or she wants to be, because it is her life, it is not our life.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can still think of it that way, but what I'm saying is, yeah, I would give the child the gift of herself or himself, and I'll say you can be you, you don't need to be anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I understood. Yeah.
And which is where the open learning comes in, because you don't need to subscribe to something,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't need to come up to this somebody's level and say, okay, then only I am good, only if I get 95% I am good, if I get
Mm-hmm.
65% I am not good enough, which is absolutely untrue. All those people who have got 65%, do you think they're not good people? No, absolutely not. I got 65%.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's nothing to do with any of those criterias with which people may want to measure anybody. It's to do
Yeah.
with us being just, or rather me being me and you being you, and the child being child.
Yeah. I got it.
Ratnesh, this is Lavanya.
Yes, Lavanya.
Uh, I know you already said no tips, but see, I have this question. When we say open learning, does the environment as the living environment, whether we live more closer to nature or we are living within, does it matter? What is your take on?
It's purely a family choice. Again, it's not a question of where you live, what you wear, what you eat. Meaning everything is basically your family choice. If you like nature more, even if you don't live in nature, you can go in nature. You can spend 1 month in a year in nature place. You can go to a village and stay there, or you can go to a seaside and stay there, right? So if depending on what is of priority to you, so if relating to nature is of priority to you and your child, I'm sure you can find solution. You don't have to necessarily live in it to be able to experience it. So for example, if I like mountains, that doesn't mean that I shift to mountains. See, haven't has that happened to you? You go on a holiday to some place and you say, I wish I could spend my whole life here. But that's not really necessary. If everybody started to living in hill stations, then who will live in the plains, right? But that's the whole point. That's where the holiday becomes so beautiful, or going to that place for some time becomes more beautiful. It's the same with any other resource also. I don't need to have all the resources. Right? I can experience the resource in different ways. I can go to that resource for some time, right? Even if I like something. So I can go to a place where that resource is available and learn there. Right? For example, Bangalore has such a beautiful, let's say, science museum. Now I know it's an amazing science museum. I won't get that beautiful a science lab as it is, as I would get in the science museum. But I don't need to go there every day. I can go there, let's say, once in a month, or once in few months, or once in a year, or few days in a year. I can make a trip to a city which has, let's say, a beautiful science museum and spend, let's say, 2 weeks of concentrated science in the science museum. Or let's say go to an ocean and explore all the things related to ocean in a month. So because I'm not constrained with schedules and classrooms and routines and all that, I can plan my life and I can do things that I want to do. When I say I mean I and the child wants to do.
Okay.
Okay, Bijal is talking. If both the parents are working, then it will not work. Um, well, Bijal, it will depend on if there are other people in the family who are ready to support you. And also, what age is the child? Can the child legally and safety wise stay alone at home? And again, if you are working, what kind of work you have? Can you take the child with you to the work? So, and again, how do you want to do it? So, I don't think there's a straight answer to your question. It obviously depends specifically to your family setup. Do you have your parents or your hubby's parents, your in-laws at home who can then be the mentors when you are not at home, and so on. So it really depends on all of those things. Yeah. So you will have to see if you really want open learning, then how do you want to uh, figure that out? Yeah. And if you really think that there's absolutely no support and the child needs to have a support, then yes, one of you will have to take a call. Okay, so I think in terms of time, we had budgeted an hour and a half. We've kind of stepped over it, more than stepped over it. So if this is what I suggest, that if you still have questions, I can still hang around for some more time. And if you want to, move ahead, um, you can log out. Um, I just want to again reinforce that if you would like to visit Aarohi, you're most welcome. Please look at the website and come here, stay with us. Both the child and the parents are most welcome. Obviously, I'm also sharing with you that open learning is not about making things easier. It's about making it something worthwhile, and which is why it is so much about today, about present. I keep telling people, meaning, why do I need to live my first 25 years of my life in preparation of the next 25 years of the life? Why can't I live the first 25 years of my life as 25 years of my life, and then live the next 25 as that next 25, and so on? Why does it need to be in preparation of? And why can't it be a natural, organic preparation, which is not designed as a structured preparation? So for me, the child's first 25 years are as valuable as the next 25. Not that I keep running in the first 25, trying to become something so that I will enjoy my life. You know what I mean? And this is, in spite of all this, children end up enjoying their childhood. So that's the beauty of their life. But if you can give them the whole bit of it, then nothing like it. Right, so that's where I'll pause. If you still have questions, as I said, I can hang around. You can ask me. Maybe for another 10 minutes I can be around. But if you would like to step out, we can say good night, and you can log out also. Obviously, there will be more questions, not just today, but you will get more questions. I'm always available on phone, on email. So please feel free to contact me in whichever form you would like to contact. And once again, if you'd like to come and stay here, you're most welcome. Yep, if you would like to join the program that Radhe was talking about, which is called Jagrati, that would only be in June, the next batch. Yep. So let me say thank you very much for joining me at this moment. And yep, I'm still available if you have a question. Thank you. Okay, Vinod is saying, how do you help children to get connected offline? Again, not very sure I totally understand your question, but it depends on the child. What exactly is the child looking for? Just to give you an example, for example, one child wanted to go deeper into bird watching, and all we needed to do was connect with some bird watchers. We didn't necessarily need to know them, and we asked them that, hey, here is a child, would any of you would like to? They said most welcome. And very recently we had a child interested in astronomy. In fact, many of them, a number of them interested in astronomy. So we hopped on to an astronomy group and posted there. And within a couple of weeks, two young, very enthusiastic astronomers came to our campus, spent a whole evening and then the whole night talking, watching about stars, supernovas, black holes, galaxies, the astrophysics, and watching through our telescope a whole lot of different things. We didn't know them. They just popped in, and there you go. So I don't think it has to be very formal, or you need to know a lot of people. The beauty is that anybody we contact and we say, can you help us? Everybody is ready to help. We have, in the last 20 years, haven't had a no till now, and I'm sure you will not have it. So I don't think there is any formal way, but I guess you can just ask around and you will get across to people who are, and I personally think that we can just call anybody and everybody. When it comes to children, everybody is ready to share. Yeah, does that kind of answer your question? I really don't know how else I can I mean, I'm all I would say, it's very easy. That's my experience. Okay, any more questions? Yeah, good night to all the people who are signing off. Please go ahead. And if anybody else has a question, you can ask me. I'm around for some time.